when does something spark my interest in writing
Right.
about it, and why is it relevant? Like, why is it coming up right now?
Let the person answer why something happens.
When you look at the findings in different fields,
Scant is the part of life in which we live.
To attain the highest values.
Your sort of creative process, for lack of a better word, like, so I think this another thing you do really well is you tap into something that's popular now, like everyone's thinking about, talking about, right? And so do you start, like, is the starting point identifying, okay, people are not understanding this the way it should be? Is that sort of like your jump in point?
Yeah. So the way I broadly think about this stuff is I separate the type of content I put out into two buckets. I kind of have my like education side, which is finance and business and mental models and decision-making frameworks, things of that sort. And then I have the like story side, which is about great people, basically, writing threads on interesting historical characters and business leaders that people haven't heard of. So I kind of separate the two. I try to generally do one of each per week and have a balance. I never want to be only doing one or the other. Mm-hmm. It's nice to have the balance, and I find that they reinforce each other. You find concepts from the finance side that then feed through the careers of these amazing people. So that's broadly how I think about it. And then I don't have some like content calendar where I've created things months in advance and I'm just releasing it. A lot of this stuff is happening in real time. And as you said, it can be topical, like with the bonds and yields one. It was all in the news. I wrote a great one on GameStop when all the drama happened, just explaining like, how can this happen in the market? Like, what is actually underlying what is happening here? And I really enjoyed that one because I knew it was topical. And so as a result, there's an audience for what you're about to write and spend time on. And it was also interesting to me because I was learning again alongside all of that. So from a creative process standpoint, the ideas for the threads are kind of all around me. And one of the biggest advantages of scaling the account is the ideas get sent to you, where now I probably get, 10 ideas per day sent to me by people. And you automatically know that there is demand for that idea when someone has sent it. The other thing I've done in the past is like teased an idea and seen if there was demand for it, where, someone would write something about network effects and I would comment under it and say, time for network effects 101. And see how many likes that comment got that I wrote. Yeah. And if there's 100 likes on it, like, wow, that's a lot of people that care to learn more about network effects. Yeah. And so part of it is just like, you kind of gauge market demand in a certain way. The same way, by the way, a like consumer product company would want to go test their product with the market before releasing it. I don't think about it any differently than that. It's the same kind of strategy around, you want to create content that you enjoy and that you're passionate about doing. But also you want to create content that other people are going to find value in and learn from. And when they find value in it, that's when they share it. And that's what creates the reach and creates the growth in your account.
I want to get a little bit tactical here as well. Like, so you get all these ideas. How are you capturing these ideas? Like, how do you...
I use Notion. I've used a little bit of everything. Now I use Notion because I love the different templates and how I can structure it. But I mean, when I first started, I was literally just like typing it into a Word document that would sit on my desktop of my computer. And I had a bunch of ideas in there. I probably still have like 200 ideas sitting there. And it's just, when am I going to get to different stuff? And really, again, it's like, when does something spark my interest in writing about it? And why is it relevant? Like, why is it coming up right now? And then I have... that's kind of on the education side. On the people side, I've probably got a list of 100 people I want to write about. Normally, like people that are lesser known or there's something interesting about their history. I try not to write about like, I'm not just going to go write a thread about like a modern day business leader.
Elon Musk.
Knows. That would probably blow up. Like that's one where like, if I wrote a thread on Elon Musk, it would probably go viral. It's not really my cup of tea unless there was an interesting angle or reason to do it.
And then what does research look like when you go into this?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I've never really talked about it. So I typically find that these threads all in take me like somewhere between 4 to 8 hours from start to finish, depending on what my level of understanding is on the material at the outset. So I will, once I have the idea and I know that I want to work on it, depending on if I'm doing it on a weekday or a weekend, I'll spend a couple of hours going and digging up different sources that I want to learn from on it to refine and kind of distill my understanding of it. And I wrote a thread on this, but I follow the Feynman technique around all of this, where like I try to just write down what I understand and then see if it would be understandable for a 5-year-old or for a teenager or someone not familiar with the concept, and then go fill in the blanks in my knowledge and really try to poke holes in it where, am I really understanding this, or am I just regurgitating something to get a thread out there? Right. And I will not post something if I don't think it's good. I've gone a week without posting anything just because I didn't really feel like I had something that was up to snuff. The bonds and yields one is a great example. I had something somewhat ready a week ago and just didn't really feel like I was nailing the point, because that's been happening for the last 3 or 4 weeks. I could have posted that and had it been topical, but I didn't feel like I was really nailing the point that I wanted to make and getting it across in the right way. So I spent more time on it and dug in a little bit more from a research perspective. So research is probably 2 hours on average. And then I draft the thread. I have, there's a couple of they're both pretty janky, but there's a couple of thread draft apps online that you can use. I use one of them. It's not particularly good. I draft it in there and then copy and paste it into Notion so that it's saving, so that if I've had a whole thread get lost because my internet restarted. I learned my lesson from that, and now I copy and paste in real time over. But I usually draft, and then I'll usually try to run a thread by somebody that I think highly of. I have a close friend, Chris Sifel Capital, I think is his Twitter handle, who's a super, super sharp investor and finance guy. And so anything that's education related, I always try to run by him to make sure that I'm not missing something major. And he's been great about giving me edits and being thoughtful about my audience.